Good evening. Good evening. Can I have everyone's attention? A few technical issues, but we'll get started here. One of the things I want to do first for the folks in the room, if you have on your phones, if you can either turn them off or put them in silent mode, I would greatly appreciate it. And we are going to get started. Welcome to the Greenville Women Giving's annual kickoff. We are very proud to be launching our 16th year of collective giving in Greenville County, our Sweet 16. My name is Beverly Ward. I'm one of the Greenville Women Giving co-chairs, and I'm very excited to be here this evening. Please know that the safety of our members and guests are of utmost importance. We thought long and hard about this evening in terms of the format, and ultimately decided that we would have the event in person for those that wanted to attend. We would try to do live stream, which we may or may not be able to do. Technology always wins. However, we will have a recording that we will send out a link after the event. Now I'd like to thank our sponsors who continue to support Greenville Women Giving even in these challenging times. To our partners, Brand in Motion Creative Services, Details Public Relations, Town Magazine and its parent, Community Journals. These organizations have been a critical part of our ability to tell the GWG story. We could not be as impactful without them. And to our sponsors, Spinks Family Foundation, Westco Incorporated, Master Power Transmission, and Azimuth Wealth Advisory of Raymond James. And to our supporters, Caldwell Banker Kane, the Woodlands at Furman, Southern First, Women's Leadership Institute at Furman, and Joan Herlong and Associates. And also a special thanks to the Community Foundation of Greenville and its wonderful staff. They make our lives much easier by providing support and services. We are honored and proud to be part of their efforts in Greenville County. I'd be remiss not to recognize the people behind the scenes of tonight's event, the folks that made it possible. Marcia Braybender and Brittany Wolf, Chair and Vice Chair of Special Events. Magali Penn, Chair of our Sweet 16 Committee. Melanie Dixon, our GWG Administrator, and members of the Greeters Committee. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Yes, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for all that you do. Of course, nothing we do would be possible without our founders, Harriet Goldsmith, Frances Ellison, and Sue Priester. Thank you for having the foresight and wisdom to know that a women-led collective giving organization would not only work, but thrive in Greenville. Please enjoy the rest of the program. I now turn it over to Mary Hipp.
Good evening. I am Mary Hipp, also one of the Greenville Women Giving co-chairs. We have a slight change in the program this evening. Councilmember Dorothy Dow is going to be here tonight to share a special proclamation on behalf of the city of Greenville. She is an at-large member of City Council and also a member of GWG. Unfortunately, due to illness, Councilmember Dow is unable to be here. She will be watching by live stream, hopefully, and we wish her a speedy and complete recovery. I would like to introduce Magali Penn, who has graciously agreed to step in and share this special proclamation. Magali is class of 2013 Greenville Women Giving and the chair of the Sweet 16 Committee.
Thank you, Mary. Good evening, Greenville Women Giving members and guests. This evening, I have the pleasure of reading the proclamation from the City of Greenville by Mayor Knox White. Whereas Greenville Women Giving is a philanthropic women's collective giving organization that has grown from 3 members in 2006 to over 500 members in 2021. And whereas Greenville Women Giving was founded on the idea that women, when informed about philanthropy and about needs in their community, can collectively make a real difference. And whereas Greenville Women Giving accepts and assesses grant applications from organizations doing work in Greenville County, and its members all have a vote on which of those organizations should receive funding. And whereas, since its founding, Greenville Women Giving has awarded 134 grants to 86 organizations totaling over $7 million. In the areas of arts, education, environment, health, and human resources. And whereas Greenville Women Giving fosters collective learning by offering educational opportunities throughout the year in the 5 funding areas, focusing on community needs and opportunities and the organizations that are attempting to address them. And whereas this evening, during the 16th anniversary kickoff, Greenville Women Giving celebrates giving collectively, granting strategically, and growing a greater Greenville. Now, therefore, Mayor Knox White, the mayor of the city of Greenville, does hereby proclaim September 21st, 2021 as Greenville Women Giving Day. In the city of Greenville, and he urges all citizens to congratulate the members and thank them for their many contributions to our city over the past 16 years and in the years ahead. Signed, sealed, and delivered, Knox H. White, Mayor, Greenville, South Carolina. Thank you.
Thank you, Magali. And thank you to Mayor White and the City of Greenville for this wonderful honor. It is a special recognition for Greenville Women Giving as we embark upon our 16th year of granting to nonprofits in our community. I'm Susan Chinquamani, one of the Greenville Women Giving co-chairs. Over the last 15 years, through 86 organizations we have supported with granting, countless individuals have been personally impacted. This evening, we have some very special guests who have generously agreed to share personal stories of how their lives were touched by the organizations supported by Greenville Women Giving in the areas of arts, education, environment, health, and human services. We would like to welcome the speaker for our arts category, Kimberly Gibbs, who will speak about the positive impact of Greenville Women grantee, the Metropolitan Arts Council.
Great. Thank you so much, Susan, for that wonderful introduction, and thank you to all of you. Y'all could be anywhere in the world tonight, and you chose to come here and be a part of this amazing organization, so thank you for that. My name is Kimberly Gibbs, and I am the Director of Arts Education for the Metropolitan Arts Council, where I direct Smart Arts at the TD Center for Arts Integration. We partner artists and teachers to raise academic achievement through arts integration. However, at the time that we received our grant from Greenville Women Giving, I was actually just a teaching artist. And so through the donation of Greenville Women Giving, we were able to really expand the number of teachers and students that we could work with that year. I personally got to work with 5 different schools that year and worked with almost 600 kids myself. So it was really an inspiring year. Important not just for getting to work with the kids, but also it helped me to make my living as an artist. And that is so important for the 20 artists that actually work with the Metropolitan Arts Council. So thank you to Greenville Women Giving for that. But the reason I wanted to speak today was about a student that I met that particular year while I was doing a poetry slam residency. That is actually my art form, is poetry slam. I was doing a poetry slam residency at a 7th grade middle school, and I was working in a special education class where most of the kids were 2 to 3 years below grade level, and most of them were considered struggling writers and struggling readers. And there was a young man, so of course I come in the first day and I'm like, hey, we're gonna write poetry. The kids are like, oh, great. But I performed some poems, and we had some really fun topics, and the kids got really into it. I always do some performance techniques, for their public speaking skills. And this one young man who was very skeptical to begin with, and who was very, very far below grade level and really did not like to write. But somehow, by about day 2, we kind of got him hooked. And he ended up writing this really beautiful poem about self-expression, and he actually won the Poetry Slam. And so what was really great about that was after the Poetry Slam, he came up to me and he said, Mrs. Gibbs, I've never won anything before. So thank you to Greenville Women Giving for giving us the opportunity to take kids that are not engaged and to put a spark back into their lives. So thank you for all that you do. And it's really just been such an honor to be part of the work in the community with partners with y'all. So thank you.
Thank you. For our granting category education, we welcome Rafael Hernandez Alicia, who will share the transformative impact of the Greenville Women Giving grantee, the Greenville Literacy Association.
Thank you, Susan, for the invitation. Thank you, John. My name is Rafael Hernandez, and I wanted to share my story and how education at the GLA had impacted my life. In 2014, I had an accident that ruptured my disc, my lumbar disc, and I had a surgery. Unfortunately, it was a failed surgery. 2017, I continued to have the issue in my lumbar and had another surgery. That following surgery, the doctor unfortunately punctured my spinal cord, and I became paralyzed. For the next year and a half, almost 2 years, I was in bed, paralyzed, with no hope, nothing to do. I was a truck driver before, but I had no plan B. I had no GED, nowhere to go, nothing to do. Thankfully, with the support of my family, my wife, I was able to, push through that time. It was a very dark time for me in my life. I was in bed, paralyzed, oxygen machines. I had power chair because I couldn't move anywhere. Thankfully, the doctors were able to create these assistive devices that allowed me to be able to stand. Obviously, my left side was completely paralyzed. My right side had paralysis in it, but I was able to manage with both canes, my hands, and the cast that they had created. Through that time, found that I needed to do something. My wife, obviously was a good support and pushed me and told me, your body might not be functioning, but your mind is. So I pushed through that time, and I found a school that gave the GED program. It was part of an extension in Simpsonville of the Greenville Literacy in Greenville. And so I called and made the appointment, went with, obviously with my power chair initially. I was thankful for the members there, for the staff there that really cared for me during that time that I was there. Harriet, should mention, was a very influential person for me at the time. She was very helpful, and that's the kind of staff members that Greenville Literacy offers. And, you know, through the time there, in 3 months, they were able to get me prepared for the GED. And obviously, in 3 months, I went and I was able to get my GED. Through that time, sometimes there were days that I couldn't get up. There were days that I was in pain, but I pushed through the troubles. I pushed through my time and my pain, and I went and did it. And I was thankful to today I have my GED with me. And I also wanted to share that because of the opportunity that I received, and through Greenville Literacy and also to pushing through, I was able this year to graduate from ECPI and earn my bachelor's degree in computer science. So I want to thank them because I think because of their resilience, because of their kindness, because of their strength, and their great program that they have, you know, I want to thank the Greenville Literacy Association and also the Greenville women for allowing, you know, them to function, and I was able to gain my GED. And I just want to finalize with some words, if I may. The past is there to remind us of how far we have come, the battles we fought and the scars that came from it. Therefore, we must look towards tomorrow, for in it are the goals we want to accomplish. But today, yes, today, we must prepare the way in order to get there. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to welcome the speaker for our environment category, Ima Wabadu, who will speak about the long-lasting impact of Greenville Women grantee Trees Upstate.
Good evening. Quite a lot of people. It's such pleasure to be here, and everybody's smiling even behind your mask, and with this particular trying moment. My name is Ayman Wabadu. I am the program director for Greenville County Redevelopment Authority, but I'll probably be saying GCRA most of the time. In order to talk about this, one of the things is to show how much and the partnership we've created with Trees Upstate through your donation and support. And I can tell you that a little bit going back is, what do we do? GCRA is the administrator of the federal funds that come to Greenville County. And these funds are basically letting you address affordable housing, infrastructure improvement, take on neighborhoods that you basically have to revitalize. And not in my wildest dream way back did I think that trees will do such a great impact to change the community. And it started, I'm going to take on a particular neighborhood. All of our neighborhoods are low and moderate income neighborhoods, where at least about 51% of the residents or household and 80% are below of the area median income. So of course, the federal funds that you get really is addressing direct benefits. You're rehabbing houses, you're helping seniors or persons living with disability to repair their houses. You're changing, updating the infrastructure improvements. Most of these communities, the sanitary sewer lines are over 100 years old. So those federal funds help to address those, but does not think about the trees. So one of the communities, the Broughton Town community, is just a little over 5 minutes from downtown Greenville. And when we come into a community, we take a very holistic approach. We take on addressing from underground sanitary sewer lines to the verticals. So when we started in that particular area, we had to actually demolish a lot of the substandard houses. We did a lot of the roads, we did the houses. We actually encouraged, it was more actually planned for more homeownership. We provide mortgages, affordable mortgages for residents. And these are not just, we're having working families, teachers that have moved back there. But just looking at the neighborhood, we realized in 2008, when we've done most of half of the sections or the portion of face area of the community, we realized we don't have trees. And it was something we couldn't use the federal funds. You could have some houses or some trees on the houses, but the community as a whole, you have to address the direct impact. That who is this person? Is that person going to a house? So we couldn't really do that. So it just happened that in a meeting with Paula Gorka, most of you may know her, she's the county, assistant county administrator. I mean, she's my go-to whenever it's like help. She was like, I've got an agency for you. And it so happened at that particular time to Trees Upstate used to be Trees Greenville. They had just gone through environmental justice and was looking for communities to show there's equity, tree equities in the area. So such a partnership, she was going through getting grants, and so it was like, we'll do this. And the particular process in doing that engaged the residents. It made, you could see the faces. We had the first event, tree planting event in the community. Children and families and everybody was so involved. They took the time to walk the community. Everybody chose the type of trees they wanted to see. And then the common areas that we have, we actually chose the trees that were going to be there. My case, this is 2008, so we had just moved down from New Jersey. So my youngest child was 3, and my oldest was 12. They joined us. They still remember that. Now my first 2 are 20, is graduated from college, and my youngest is like second year in college. They still think about that first event, and they've been part of tree planting since then. And since that time, it has grown. If you get to a subdivision where detention ponds tell you put the chain link fence, we're able to plant trees to shield those. There was immediately a cement industry that you could just see right there. The trees were planted. They have grown since then, 13 years. It's shown such a character in that neighborhood. And since then, there have been 9 planting events in that place. Greenville have planted over 200 trees in that area and have replicated this in all of our communities and neighborhoods. They're very excited to see that. And one thing most people don't realize there's absence of trees in most low and moderate income neighborhoods. You don't have a lot of tree canopy. So with this relationship, that really helped us leverage the federal funds that we have so we can have, the different impacts of what we have to do. And it's basically encouraged the community engagement amongst the neighbors and the residents. Most of them, they know each other before the events, but since then, it helps us to build neighborhood associations. And anytime they have to have that, the event was it was like a little party that went on. And trees actually help to improve the quality of life. And I talk to people about tree planting and seeing that it's a great tool when you put your master plan together. It's a vital tool towards neighborhood revitalization. People invest in it, and residents invest in it, and there's a lot more respect to that community when you see the mature trees that are there. And of course, the clean air. and that transcends into public health. So, talking about what GCRA does, not just the fiscal aspect or the social aspect, we found out that ensuring that the environment is clean and the residents and the neighborhood, the beautification that the trees provide to that area and the community and the respect changes the community completely. So I thank you for your support that you've been doing and giving to Trees Greenville because it's so needed. We intend to launch the same program to another community that we have in Greer, where we took on about close to about 8-acre sites. It was an abandoned mill, abandoned trailer community, which using the federal funds done the roads and the housing, the senior housing, but we lack trees. So that's one of the things we want to do, and that we want to plan another planting season next year. Thank you so much for all that you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you. For our granting category Health, we welcome Jeremy Poindexter, who will share his story of the powerful impact of Greenville Women Giving grantee, the Center for Developmental Services.
Well, thank you for having me here today. I serve on the board of directors for the Center for Developmental Services, but in addition to that, I also have a son that received services at CDS. My son Calvin, he has the psychologist that did some of his testing said he's about the most complicated kid you can have. So he has Down syndrome, autism, ADHD, OCD, anxiety disorder, speech apraxia, sleep apnea, and insomnia. So I don't get much sleep, but he initially started services at CDS, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But when you have a child with all those different diagnoses, and especially a child with speech apraxia, which if you don't know what that is, that can make it very difficult to speak, and he's essentially nonverbal. So I try to find other ways to connect with him because I can't have regular conversations with him like I do my 4-year-old who has made up for Calvin not talking. So to do that, Calvin loves music and Calvin loves movies. So it's not too hard until COVID came around to take him to the movies. You know, I try to pick out times where it's not real busy, and we go and see Star Wars movies and Marvel movies and Pixar and Disney, and he loves them all. We always have a great time. But he also loves music, so I want to take him to concerts. That's a much bigger process. So the first concert I decided to take him to was Guns N' Roses. So October 2019, September 2019, I get tickets for us to go see Guns N' Roses in Charlotte. That took, and I'm not exaggerating at all, months of preparation. We watched Guns N' Roses videos, we watched concert videos, we listened to music. Time comes to go to the show, I use a wheelchair to take him. I bought him a Slash wig and top hat because he likes to wear costumes, and he had fake tattoos on his arms and all that. He was all ready to go. I had no idea how it was going to go. It went wonderfully. He loved it. People in the crowd were getting their pictures with him. It was one of the best nights of my entire life. The reason I bring that story up is the preparation for that didn't start those few months before. The preparation for that started when he was at 6 months old and started going to Center for Developmental Services. So he started going there at 6 months old, and he received speech therapy there, occupational therapy there, and physical therapy there. That's where he literally learned to crawl. They used to put him on an exercise ball, and he'd try to flip over all the time, and his physical therapist said he was going to be a good wrestler because he would always get back on his front, but working on his core strength to get to the point where he could crawl. He learned how to eat there. All the things that he needed to do to continue to progress, and all that laid the foundation of the things that I'm able to do with him today. And, you know, I will forever be thankful to CDS for that. And without the funding of places like Greenville Women Giving, CDS wouldn't be able to provide all those services through our partners. So with a heartfelt thank you, I want to thank everybody, and that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And for our fifth granting category, Human Services, we would like to welcome Carrie Silver, who will share her story of the transformative impact of Greenville Women Giving grantee Safe Harbor.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Silver, and I serve on the board of directors of Safe Harbor, but that's not actually what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about my role as a former client of Safe Harbor. And I love talking to groups like you because I'm willing to bet I'm not what you pictured when you pictured a client of Safe Harbor. But I'm going to use this opportunity to tell you first how somebody like me ended up in an abusive marriage, why women don't just leave, and how Safe Harbor can help somebody like me. So the very first thing I want to say is I don't think anybody wakes up and dreams as a little girl that they're going to marry somebody someday who's going to belittle them and call them names and hit them and do horrible things to them. That's not really what they strive for. My husband was a military veteran, upstanding citizen. What happened in our case was a couple months after our wedding, actually, a life event happened that triggered his PTSD, and he broke. He just broke. And I was on the losing end of that. So somebody like me, I am not from the cycle in any way. My parents are about to celebrate 50 years of marriage. I'm college educated, own a home. I'm not supposed to be up here speaking about this, but it still happens. So that's how it happens to somebody like me. And why didn't I just leave? Well, I can tell you the very first time that he raised his hand to me, I tried to leave. I was out of there. What we don't always realize is that when you leave or try to leave, that's usually when the abuser is the most violent. So he made sure that I was not able to physically leave the house. But it's not just violence, physical violence, that is part of this cycle. So there's myriad reasons that abusers are able to keep their control. So there's other things they can do, like taking away access to your own money, having periods of calm, like after the birth of a child, but then using that child as bait, saying, I will kidnap this child and never let you see them again if you leave. Law enforcement that sides with the man and call them up, try to help you, and they get all buddy-buddy with the husband. Gaslighting, making you think that you're crazy. Family members who tell you you're overreacting. A culture that tells you that you're supposed to stand by veterans. And even a court system that fails you. So these are all things that happened to me. I want to highlight the last element there just for a second because I did have a pretty traumatic experience with the court system because I am this upstanding citizen. So I got a protective order one time when I realized that my life was in danger. And in domestic violence court, my husband's attorney convinced the court that I was too smart to be in this situation. College educated, my name, I own the home. Why I do community service. Why, this is not something that would happen. So the court let him come home and continue his reign. So that stung a little. We'll just understate that. So now we're getting to how can a place like Safe Harbor help? Well, I needed help. When I finally was able to leave, I had my car, what I packed up in a U-Haul, and my son. I had $0, nothing in my wallet, but I was able to get away for a couple different reasons. One, I had parents who let my son and I live with them for a while. I had a college degree that helped me get a job so I could start over. And if you know what I do in my day job, you know why college access is critical to everything I do. If I didn't have that college degree, I would still be either in that marriage or dead. And I had Safe Harbor. I spent at least a year, maybe more, going to Safe Harbor once a week for counseling. I had had counselors before, but never any that actually understood domestic violence. And it was eye-opening, and it was hard work. To go through trauma therapy, it's hard work, but there is no way I'd be able to be up here talking with you today if I hadn't been through all that. Safe Harbor gave me a place to heal. It gave me a place to tell me that I was worth getting better, that I was worth more than the trauma that I had experienced. So I want to thank you on behalf of Safe Harbor for supporting an institution, an organization like this, so other people who maybe would be what you'd expect to be a client of Safe Harbor, or maybe somebody like me who you just pass on the street and think, oh, she's got her life together. Safe Harbor will help somebody like that, and it's because you guys are funding Safe Harbor, and I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Greenville Women Giving, this is the impact you are having on our community. Thank you very much to our 5 speakers for joining us this evening and sharing such personal stories. Through our collective giving and collective learning, our community continues to work together to support each other in growing a greater Greenville.
Thank you, Susan. I'm Diane Perlmutter, the 4th GWG co-chair. I have 2 groups I'd like to thank. Our fabulous friends from Brand in Motion, Clark Smith and Chris Freeland, who are doing a real yeoman's job here, helping us get this to people who aren't able or don't want to be out right now. And also to Haley, Jario, and the people at the Hilton. We originally had an event scheduled at the Hilton 2 years ago, and we kept putting it off and off as COVID has taken over so much of our lives, and they've been great. And down to a week ago, we were still not sure how many people were coming, what we were going to be doing, and they just work with us very well, so thank you to them. Before we conclude, I'd like to remind everyone that the first of this year's Educational Spotlight events is a week from tonight, Tuesday, September 28th at 5:30 at the Yount Center at Furman. The subject is the report of the Greenville REAM Commission. REAM is the acronym for Racial Equality and Economic Mobility, and we are especially honored to have as our speakers the Commission's co-chairs, Merle F. Code and David Luminack. We will again offer both an in-person event and a live stream for concurrent or later viewing, so we hope you will join us. And join us in the way that is most comfortable for you. A final thought as we end the program. We're starting our Sweet 16 celebration a little differently than we had originally planned, but that's okay because we have a lot to celebrate. Listening to our speakers tonight, I was reminded of why I joined Greenville Women Giving and why I have remained a member. We heard 5 stories, but there are many, many more. And since our founding in 2006, as you've heard, Greenville Women Giving has invested $7 million in Greenville County in 134 grants to 86 different organizations in arts, education, the environment, health, and human services. We have made an impact because women, some here with us in this room, some at home, and some no longer with us, have come together to benefit the place we call home. I can think of no better way to kick off our Sweet 16 celebration than by saying thank you. Thank you for being a member of Greenville Women Giving, and thank you for all you do for the people of Greenville County. And now, let the celebration begin. We'll be moving to another room, and just follow the crowd. And thank you all so much for coming, for watching us, and everybody have a great day.